read it. I heard it. Like it's all there on the paper. You can go look at it yourself. And that's why I said I want to bring you on, because I know if you're saying it, it's real. And I also knew that there might be one or two kids on this line that are looking at that saying, yeah, can I do that? But this man served 14, 15 years of his life. He gave up everything. He lost this amount of money. He did this. So at the end of the day, it looks fast, but at the end of the day, if you work hard, you could probably get to the same place if you apply yourself. Speaking of which, I want to talk about the main thing that mobsters are known for, which is killing people. Number one, what does your mindset have to be like going into a murder? Do you get high? Do you focus? Is there a plan? Or do you just turn it on and off? What was your first killing, and how did it affect you, and when did it just become normal?
The first guy I killed for the mob, I killed before that. You know, the movie Goodfellas with Jimmy Burke. I was friends with Frankie Burke. Frankie gets killed. He gets shot in the head 5 times by the Black Gate in East New York off of Liberty Avenue. He was a real good friend of mine, and me and Frankie, we killed 2 guys together for his father while his father was in prison. So I killed a couple guys prior to that. And then we hit some Jamaicans over Gotti's drug business. But my official, what they say, hit was Georgie Grasso. Was a local drug dealer. And I'm involved in killing 4 of all of them, brother-in-laws. They try to hit me. They're selling drugs. They're using Gotti's name. And Gotti Sr. has me kill Georgie Grasso. And I shoot him 2 or 3 times in the head. I leave him by Shea Stadium, City Field. But my mindset was to do the job clean, do it right. Will Gotti likes the way I did it. Not like a kid. Make sure it's professional. I brought an ex-detective that was with me at the time when I do the shooting. You know, he bullshits around that he didn't know what was going to happen. Or, you know, we're setting this up proper. You ain't just going to just run into the guy and wing it. But I made all the guys drink, have a couple shots, relax, and I drank water. So the bartender, I guess he cooperated with the feds. He told him the story, and I told him I want water only, because I'm going to make sure my mind's set right. And, you got a little bit of adrenaline like anything else, like sports, anything. And adrenaline's good if you have it under control. And drinking, I think, changes your mindset yourself. I didn't drink. That wasn't me. When I did something, I wanted to be straight. I wanted to have everything planned out. I wanted to know what I was going to do with him. And I killed a guy for Gotti Jr. to get made, actually. So he gets, the credit as he's home sleeping while I'm doing the killing. And he gets the credit for that body. And they straighten him out 1988, Christmas Eve, with Mikey Scars DiLeonardo, his right-hand man, who becomes a captain with Gotti Jr., also becomes, whatever word you want to use, a rat, an informant, testified in a million trials. And that's Gotti's guy. And listen, I'm good with it, but no one's turning it on me. And when I was in the Benz in Brazil, these guys were already in and ratting. So it's incredible, right?
Hold on. In order to be made, do you have to kill a person, or you don't have to?
I mean, our old rules, yes.
Okay.
The new rules, if you have 50,000, they're giving you a button these days. So, old time way, you didn't have to directly pull the trigger, but you had to be involved in the hit somewhere.
Okay.
So in other words, you had to be somewhere along the line of being involved in that murder.
Right.
And
okay.
They pushed me to kill the guy so Gotti would get straightened out.
So it's like somebody going to take a test for you.
Yeah. Listen, brother. There's no way to you know what I called him? You guys know who Pee Wee Herman is?
Huh?
You know who Pee Wee Herman is? That white guy.
Yes.
Okay. During the trial, I called him Pee Wee Herman. I said the guy wanted to come to all my fucking crime scenes and jerk off on him because he didn't have the balls to do what I was doing. But after I do these shootings and killings, he wants to drive by and see it. So this is listen, he's no different than most of these mob guys' kids with nepotism. How the fuck are you going to be from the street when you're raised with a brand new car at 16? When you get everything you got, you get paid for. You got a bank. You didn't grow up like us, eating grits in the morning and not having no fucking food. I mean, it is a difference on how we grew up and how these spoiled little bratty kids are growing up. You can't teach somebody the street unless they're from the street. So if you're from the street, you understand the street. And you understand the struggle, you understand the mentality. And there is no change in that. There's no way, whether if you're growing up that way, God bless you if you're lucky and you have things that everybody else had. But you ain't going to fake your way through shit with me or with anybody else from the street that's real. I'm going to tell you something because I got cut off before and I got sidetracked. I'm going to tell you, Daryl Johnson, I brought up Daryl Johnson because I really respected this guy. We were like best friends in prison. He's from Philadelphia. Anybody that knows him knows he handles himself. Tough guy, strong guy, about 6 foot. Man, you know, in a joint, it's racial. You know, it's a lot of racism from cities, from states, from, you know, white, black. Ain't nobody that goes on the other side of a chow hall if he's white and eats with black dudes. They just don't do it. But you ask anybody that knows me in McCann, and I sat on the black side when I felt like it with Bush because I didn't give a fuck what any other white guy said in there or any Italian guy said in there. I just want to get to where I'm talking about skin color. Because I don't give a fuck. When someone's my friend and they're loyal to me and we're friends,
that's what it is.
I'm going the whole ride with them. So, you know, and I'm not down with the race shit. That's why I'm always talking about it. Because I don't like what's going on, man. And my message is the more people instigate and don't unify, you're just getting these young kids from the hood killed. You're getting them locked up. You're getting them in jail. You're teaching them something we shouldn't be teaching them. You know, we're teaching them hate. I didn't have a good fucking spill at life either. I went through a lot of shit. But you know what? If you grind and do the right thing, like I'm doing now, you get your life back. If you do the wrong thing, man, you just kiss your ass goodbye, man. You just go out there and ruin it.
You can kiss your ass goodbye. And for me, I respect the fact that you've taken this and you've turned it around from being a consultant. I saw the video where you were doing the whole movie thing. Of course, the Fear City, all of that kind of stuff. You know it from beginning to end. Cops and mobsters and working with the police, dirty police, everything. You've covered everything in this lifetime. I'm sure you worked with dirty cops. How many dirty cops have you dealt with?
Man, I had 30 dirty cops with me. I had a detective that did murder with me. He was selling drugs with me. I had them all working for me. So when guys are talking, let me tell you something. Even now, when we talk about racism and all that shit, you know how many times you hear, go follow some of my shit. Oh, man, he don't know. He's just an associate. He ain't Italian. You hear that? You hear dummies saying that dumb shit all the time. And I say the same thing. If I'm going to shoot you in your fucking head, are you going to tell me you're not Italian? You're going to tell me you ain't a boss? You ain't telling me I ain't a gang? You know, this is just dummies that don't understand organizations and crime in the street. So, you know, what made me the leader, whatever they want to call me, or they want to call me street boss, they want to tell me the Albanian that took over the mob. I don't give a shit what they want to say. But I'm going to tell you one thing. They could have never came to Albania and ever took over the Albanian crew. So listen, when they want to talk that nonsense about me, they're talking because I'm not doing what I used to do. Because if I ever did what I used to do, there ain't nobody going to make a peep.
Nah, listen, you're not going to Albania with that shit. I'm going to leave you on this note. I want you to talk about one thing before you get out of here, and then I want to talk about everything you're doing from the podcast to the books to everything. You said you had 30 cops that work for you. How do you turn a cop bad? How do you take somebody who is here to serve and protect, that has given the oath to be righteous? How do you turn them to the other side? What's the process?
Process is simple. Everybody says it's money. Money is the secondary thing. Common ground's the first thing. So common ground is half these dudes and their brothers grew up in my neighborhood with me. So they're growing up with me. So I got something common ground with them. And I manipulate that common ground to start making their money. And the ones that don't want to take money, I start doing different things with them. I get friendly with them. I bring them to a Tyson fight ringside. I bring them to a ball game. I bring them down to the casinos. I get them a room at the casino. I do things to maneuver them and to bring them closer to me. And then I make them the secondary thing is I start making them money. But when a guy like Phil Baroni, who's a cop, detective, gold shield, was in shootouts, had balls, I give him that, he had balls. He was living up the block from me off Jamaica Avenue. When I moved to South Jersey, he moved across the street from me. So when he tries to sell that bullshit, you know, I didn't know he was going to kill this guy. Man, he was my partner, drugs, everything. And, you know, when he got on the stand and he's talking, I think he only got 10 months or whatever. And I don't give a... listen, I'm not trying to get the guy... And I don't care if he did one day. But he ain't going to bullshit about, you know, I knew when John killed the guy, I didn't want to do it. I didn't know he was going to do it. Because in our life, we don't do anything that way. We do a recon mission. We plan it out. We do it correctly. So when somebody just asked me on one of the shows, what's the best way to kill somebody? And I said, on BuzzFeed, actually, they were playing those games. I says, nowadays, with poison. And 2 days later, the guy calls me up and says, man, I can't believe you said that. You know, just now in Russia, they try to kill, what's his name, Putin's, competition with tea and try to poison him. So it's like, hey, listen, man, I've been doing this my whole life. So do I know the street? Do I know how to handle somebody on the street and which way to handle them? Of course I do. I've been doing it too long. But, you know, that negative shit is really where I'm trying, just what you said. So I got my website, johnalite.com. I got a sports site, alitsports.com. I got, my Instagram, John Alite officially. And, I'm out there advocating, not the street. So if anybody thinks it was cool, my life, they weren't there when I got molested. They weren't there when I stuck knives up my ass. They weren't there when I was in solitary confinements, probably close to 7 years. They weren't there when I was in those concentration camps in Brazil, and dudes were beating me and tying me up to guards and shooting at me. They weren't there when everybody was betraying me. They weren't
shooting
there
at you in the jail?
Shooting
at you in the jail?
Oh, in jail, Brazil, we had riots all over. There's 16 guys got killed in one riot. I mean, listen, decapitations, hangings, forced hangings. I got my teeth knocked out by one of the guards with a butt of a gun. I mean, so they ain't even have a clue what it is to go through the suffering I did, family members dying, not seeing your kids for 12 years. I mean, listen, it's a life of pain, misery for everybody. So, when the kids think it's cool and they're watching, what's that? They did the thing with Denzel Washington, American Gangster. Man, that's a movie. Man, Bumpy, that's a movie. But when you talk about, Nicky Barnes. Nicky Barnes was, Harlem guy, for the guys that don't know, big time slick gangster. His life went to shit after that. He ended up testifying against a friend of ours, Mark Ryder, who got double life now. He was around Gotti. He was a good friend of mine. His son, Greg Ryder, also got killed. The other guy I told you I forgot before was Angelo Costelli. He got killed. So, this is the part the kids ain't seeing. That ain't nobody left out of all of us. Tito, the guy that killed Frankie Burke, he got killed. So, that list can keep going of all the guys that grew up with us are gone, man. They're all gone. So that's the reality of the life, that you don't really have a good life. And the dudes that want to come get me now, and there's guys out there that want to come get me now, I ain't carrying that before.
I don't think they're going to do that. I really don't suggest that, man. I don't suggest that.
Hey, there's always guys that get some young guy that thinks, hey, I can make a name off of him. And and I talk about Tyson too. I don't want him to go back to the ring because I like him. He's good friends with a lot of my friends. Bobby Ches, 3-time champ, Prince Badi, that's always with me. He did one of my podcasts. So guys that know me, I just had Corey on, the comedian, real good dude. And I keep saying the same thing, man. Just positive people. Corey, positive guy. Prince Badi, positive guy. Mike Tyson, he went through trials and tribulations. He's a good dude. Positive guy. Fuck all this negative shit, all this guys that are separations and not unity. And, I just got to be a different guy, man, than I used to be. So I'm not going to sink to some of this shit. And if people want to protest, be a gentleman like Martin Luther King Jr., because I got to say one thing, and I wrote it earlier. That guy was one of my heroes, greatest guys around. He did something that what's going on now, they're disgracing his legacy by even trying to spit out something.
Johnny, I'm going to tell you something. The people who are destroying shit are not with us. We know what that is. We know how they're doing it. We know what the reason they're doing it for. I'm well aware of that. Like, I always talk about that on here. That's a smoke screen. They doing that so they can say, wait up, hold on, this is what they're doing so they can do the next thing. So I've always told people, you have to be ahead of the game, bro.
Snoop, but here's the problem. You're older, you're intelligent, you've been around the block. They're trying to manipulate the young kids that don't know any better. And that's what I'm trying to reach. We got to go out and tell those young kids don't buy into this bullshit. They're trying to maneuver you like a pawn. And don't buy into it. And that's not the right way, man. If anything, you want anything, teach them better training. But, anything else but that, this nonsense has got to stop, really. And, so I'm always going to spit this out.
Definitely got to stop. I have a final question about hip-hop. Do you like hip-hop? Is there an artist that you like? And what do you think about TAKASHI 6ix9ine?
Well, hip-hop growing up, I used to listen to Nelly day and night when I used to box. I had a pro training camp. Prince Badi was there. David Reed was there. I had a lot of guys we used to fight, train with Bernard Hopkins. And I used to listen to Nelly, actually. So I was a big Nelly guy. LL Cool J I like because he was from Springfield, in Queens, right down the block from my neighborhood. I used to listen to a lot of him. Do I listen to a lot of hip-hop? I listen to everything, man. Yeah, I listen to a lot of hip-hop. I'm going to do that video coming up Saturday, I believe, with Casanova and those guys, a Latin group, guys from Jamaica. So, as far as, what was the other question you asked me?
Do you know who 6ix9ine is? Do you know
So 6ix9ine, I try to reach out to 6ix9ine. And actually, I was in the studio filming, and he walked in with his entourage of guys that, protect him or whatever. And I told the guy, he must have knew who I was because they knew I was in the studio before that. And I said, man, I want to talk to him because I had Snow Billy on my show. And I talked to Snow, and I know Snow since he's a kid. And, since Snow got shot in the neck and head and all that stuff, I had him on the show. And I wanted 6ix9ine to sit, talk to him. I ain't trying to gangster up on the guy. I just want to tell him, listen, man, whatever you did, that's your business. I'm not getting in there. And I tell Snow the same thing. But if you want to really be real and you're away from the street now because you got no choice, then be real, stick your hand out the way me and Cookie Dorso did. And shake hands and show the kids you're an example of, hey, I'm going to change my life. Maybe you're not happy what I did with it. Maybe you're not happy because I talk. Maybe you're not happy with whatever. But be real and stick your hand out and talk to Snow, man, and end it as a gentleman and have a good reputation. Don't end it in court where you're forced to do what you're doing. Do it from your heart. I was hoping he'd stick his hand up, but actually they wouldn't let me see him. And I told one of them was one of his guys was Sean, I remember his name, from California, good dude, about 6'4", 6'5", black dude, real gentleman, really. But the other dude I didn't really like. He was trying to scare me, like he's looking at a picture, trying to scare it off the wall. And I'm like, hey, man, relax. So the camera guys that were with me were like, oh, you real? I said, yeah, I'm going to be real. I said, I don't give a fuck how big he is, how many guys are there. I'm just going to say it the way it is. I'm just saying, listen, man, I'm a gentleman. I'm asking you as a gentleman to sit down and say hello to the guy and talk to him for a second. You don't got to try to scare me, dead look me, and all that nonsense. You ain't impressing anybody with that nonsense. And this is what I'm talking about.
He didn't know who. 20 years ago, he would already they'd be fucking filling out his funeral arrangements. Go figure. You said, and this is the last thing. This is the last thing because it was wild to me. You said you guys robbed a funeral parlor. What's in a funeral parlor that you want?
You know what? You want to hear a funny thing? That's where Gotti was laid to rest. It was called Papa Vera Funeral Home. And the guy had about 800,000. He was beating up his wife and threatening her with Gotti because he was one of Gotti's good friends, obviously, at the funeral. But as soon as we robbed him, and at the time I robbed him with other made guys that worked for Gotti. So I said to him, listen, man, we're robbing the guy because he's abusing this woman. He's beating her up. We're going to take that money. We're going to give back her end of the jewelry and we'll split the rest. As soon as we robbed him, tied him up, he got his hands on the fire alarm because he burns bodies in there. And the fire alarm, when the police came, this is what I'm talking about, fake. He went right to the precinct and digging in the books, picking out mugshots of guys. So all that gangster rah-rah shit, it's only good to a point, and then they're all full of shit. So, and the kids got to understand that. So when it comes to losing his money, he's picking out names in a phone book, and he's picking out photos in a police book. So, it's all bullshit. And then Gotti had his weight there, actually. At the same time, dude who's a complete snitch. So,
Final thing. Tell them where to get the podcast. Tell them where to get the books. Tell them where the sports book is, because I saw that. Tell them everything that they need to know about Johnny A.
So you got the Johnny and Gene show. That's on YouTube. It's a weekly show.
I watched that.
And you're going to see a lot of gangsters come on here, ex-gangsters. Some, Corey was just on. He had a street life that was incredible. From Detroit and New York. You'll see him on there. You have Prison Rules. It's more of a handbook than a book. And it talks about the pitfalls of not getting in trouble. And if you get in trouble by Nick Christopher, you got Gotti's Rules by George Anastasia. They're all bestseller books. Darkest Hour 1 and 2. I got the second one coming out now, and the first one's already out with Susan Pike. They're all on Amazon. They're at Barnes & Noble. And then I got my site, johnalite.com. I do a lot of talks from different schools, colleges, Rowan, Ocean County. I'm all over Montgomery Township Police Department, Philly, Queens. I do talks all over juvenile centers, first-time offenders. And I'm working on programs for the guys that are in jail and the guys that have cases where they get a second chance program and other offender programs that I'm trying to implement again so they can go to the armed forces instead of prison.